It poured around 12:30 this afternoon, so much so that it took the field a couple of hours to be worked on and dirt to be thrown and the field to be dried out. And finally, we believe we're ready for baseball. I see big leaguers out there. I see Rockies in their white uniforms with the black pinstripes. And this crew has done yeoman's work getting this field ready once again in this strangest of May 2015. We're ready for baseball. It's going to be a doubleheader. The Rockies and Giants. The official delay will be in the neighborhood of 2 hours and 15 minutes with Ryan Spilborghs and Jeff Hewson. I'm Drew Goodman. Gregor Blanco is going to step up. Jordan Lyles is ready to go. And this very patient crowd is excited about watching some baseball. Here's the Southwest batting order this afternoon in Game 1 for the Giants. Blanco will lead things off. Then Joe Panik, Angel Pagan, Brandon Belt, Hunter Pencil slide up to the 5th spot. Brandon Crawford's had a terrific year. Duffy, Susak behind the plate. Chris Heston. So Buster Posey will obviously play Game 2. A lot of times you'll see Posey, when he's not catching, playing first base. But Bruce Bochy's going to alleviate him of some wear and tear and just have to play the second game. Quickly, it's a 2-strike count on Gregor Blanco. Fastball and a changeup from Jordan Lyles.
Well, and he got the first pitch strike, which is a big key for Jordan Lyles. And batters are hitting 225 in the first 4 pitches against Jordan Lyles. So if he can get contact early, it's typically an out.
And it gets a strikeout, and it gets away. Hundley fires down the right field line, and Blanco's going to end up at third. Well, you start just like you'd want it to be on 3 pitches. You get a strikeout. The ball got past Nick, and then I don't know if it was wet because it appeared to just fly out of his hand, which to me would indicate that he picked up a baseball that had water all over it.
Well, it's hard to tell if it's waterlogged. What I thought I saw was that he tried to throw it over Blanco because he was in Huntley's throwing lane. So he tried to lob it over his head and lobbed it into right field. That's a good job by Blanco, keeping his head up, looking at the third base coach to know that you should be able to get to third pretty easily.
I think that's going to be a pass ball, E2. They didn't indicate that. Panik fouls it off. They just indicated E2, but you have to account for why the ball got past the catcher. And in this case, it was a breaking ball down, but it didn't hit the dirt. If it hits the dirt, it's almost always going to be a wild pitch, but it looked like Nick could have caught it, and it glanced off the bottom portion of his glove. So we'll pass that along as soon as they figure it out downstairs. Here's the 0-1 to Panik, and a soft liner, and that's gloved by Arenado. So 1 out. Blanco has to stay anchored. Let's take a look at the numbers on Jordan Lyles. A 2-4 record with a 4.53 ERA, and like so many Rockies starting pitchers, he's battled the base on balls bug.
And he has, and typically when you have a good sinker ball, and one of the ones that Jordan Lyles has, he creates a lot of ground balls, but at the same time, a lot of sinker ball pitchers have trouble commanding the strike zone. They also have a lower strikeout rate. So for Jordan, it's just pitching to contact. Get that first pitch strike. So far, he's 2 for 2. Get the ball on the ground, get it done in a couple pitches.
Angel Pagan takes low. .49 degrees, by the way, our game time temperature. Pagan's had a terrific year so far. Giants have won 7 in a row, and this has popped up to shallow left. In fact, they won't even really get into the outfield. Tulowitzki makes the catch, and now Lyles has a great chance at picking up his catcher, Nick Hundley. Here's the Rockies defensively. Ben Paulson again in left. Charlie Blackmon at center. Cargo's in right. And the familiar force of right now in the infield, Willeen Rosario is playing first base in the absence of Justin Morneau. Nick Hundley is the catcher. So Brandon Belt steps up. He had the 475-foot home run last night. Giants won 11-8. This was one of those oh my moments last night.
Still only counts for 3, but it is an oh my when you hit it up that high.
Shift is on, and the pitch is up and in at 94. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, this is a situation where Jordan Lyles, over the course of this season, 13 of the 25 runs that he has allowed this season have all come with 2 outs. The Giants, one of the better teams at hitting with runners in scoring position with 2 outs. 288 batting average, that's 3rd in Major League Baseball.
In the last 10 days, they're hitting .402 with runners in scoring position, period.
Well, let's let that average drop down a bit. It's already dropped down on the last 2 batters. Make it 3.
1-1. Belt's one of those guys, Billy, that he gets really wound up to hit.
He does, and it also allows him to drive the ball 475 feet. What I really like about what Jordan Lyles has been doing this season, and I've noticed it more with his new changeup grip, is that he's elevating his 4-seam fastball. Primarily, Jordan Lyles will go to that sinker, follow it up with the changeup, but since he's been going with the 4-seam, he can elevate it up in the zone. Really allows that changeup to be a lot more effective.
1-2, foul tip held by Hundley. What a job by Jordan Lyles. Leadoff man ends up at 3rd after a strikeout and a pass ball and an error, and Blanco never advanced home. Great job, Jordan Lyles. We'll see the Rockies bats when we return. Hour and 15-minute rain delay, game 1 of 2. The Rockies and Giants trying to make up for a game. About a month ago there was rain down here. Here's the rest of the Southwest batting order for Walt Weiss on this Saturday afternoon. Nolan Arenado, Cargo, Tulowitzki, Rosario, Paulson, Hundley, LeMahieu, and Lyles. Orleans swung the bat well last night. In fact, he's been swinging the bat very well all season long. Chris Heston facing the Rockies for the 3rd time. And Spilly, he didn't much like his first appearance at Coors Field.
No, he did not. And this is a guy, sinker slider, great changeup. Rookie year, he's leading the rookies in wins. You can see his numbers, a lot of innings pitched. But it's been the lefties that have been hurting Heston so far this season. Of all the homers he's given up 3. They've all come to lefties and a .329 batting average against them. So Rockies loaded up with the lefties today.
Outside 2-1 on Charlie. Blackman's 4 for 6 with a home run, as evidence to what Spilly is referring to with a home run. That's off the plate, 3-1. Heston's first appearance here on April 24th. 5 1/3, 6 runs, 11 hits. 0-2 against Colorado this year. And that is hit hard, but it's right at Brandon Crawford. Low throw and handled by Belt. 1 out. Giants in the outfield have Gregor Blanco, good solid outfielder. Angel Pagan in center. Hunter Pence in right. Matt Duffy again getting the start at third. Crawford's been very good up the middle, just 4 errors. Joe Panik 1 error at second. Brandon Belt with a good glove is at first base, and Andrew Susak, the backup catcher, starts game 1. Good to see Nolan Arenado. And a couple of hours ago when we originally went on the air, we were talking about Nolan coming out of the ball game late last night. He dove a couple times, once to his right, once to his left, and had minor back spasms. And when the game resumed late last night after the hour and 44-minute rain delay, he did not take his scheduled turn at bat. Mike McHenry did. And we were concerned, whoa, would he be available over the next couple of days? Well, he texted Spilly last night and said, you know what, I'm playing 2 tomorrow, which is kind of what you expect from him, right?
Expect that from a guy that loves to play baseball. And the next ball, this Hunter Pence ball down the line, he laid there for a second. We were curious if he was going to get back up, but being 23 years old, expect him to get up.
This is popped up right around the mound. Belt will come over and make the catch. Because Spilly, as we like to say, pitchers cannot be athletes. They're not allowed to catch pop-ups. Here was Nolan on his back earlier.
I just dove, and I dove in the air. Usually when I dive on the ground, but I jumped in the air, and I just kind of crunched, and my back kind of like, I got crunched up. Usually when I dive, I lay out, I guess, and lay out. It stays away from like jamming your back, and I just jammed a little bit, and then after that, I think I dove a couple more times, and then it just started hurting. And then they said, "Hey, you're going to be playing both games tomorrow. You might as well just get ready to go and stuff like that for tomorrow."
And he's out there and looks just fine. 2 outs, nobody on. Cargo with a 1-0 count. Cargo 1 for 5 against Heston this year. And he takes that pitch off speed for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cargo had an RBI single in that 4-run 9th inning for the Rockies. They made it interesting, and the Giants had to bring in Santiago Casilla late last night to get the save in a ball game that they led 11-4 when the inning began.
Well, talking to the guys next door in the Giants broadcast, they talked about you needed to keep adding on because they knew at some point the Rockies offense was going to score.
Cargo takes low, 3 balls and a strike.
Well, you like being in these hitters counts. Charlie Blackmon was in a hitters count, got a good pitch, hit it hard, but right at Crawford. Here's Cargo with another hitter's count. Let's see him hit it hard.
What I've noticed, Billy, and you watch obviously very, very closely, the Rockies as a whole, and Cargo in particular, pitches that he normally would put in play with authority, he's been fouling back.
And that part of that is just timing, or just not being completely committed to your pitch in your zone.
That's up and in, so Cargo draws a 2-out walk, and that will allow Troy to come to bat here. Rockies fans, you can join the conversation. Send us your thoughts, photos, and other comments via Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Use the hashtag Toyota Talk, and hopefully you'll get on the air. This afternoon, game 1 is Troy's 999th of his career. A select few have played 1,000+ games in a Rocky uniform. That's in there for a strike. And here's the group that he'll join. Helton, of course, way out in front of everybody, 2,247. Walker, 1,170. Vinny, 1,098. Dante, 1,018 ball games. And there's Troy.
Yep, that's the Mount Rushmore for Colorado Rockies. If you have one, if you put one up over the rock pile, those are the guys that you would see.
Troy didn't pull the trigger. It's 0-2.
One of the strange things with Tulo this year is his on-base percentage. The 289 is striking to me, and the low walk rate is striking too. But even more so, if you wanted to dig into it, he's getting a lot of first pitch strikes thrown on, so pitchers are attacking him.
Well, at the same juncture last year, he had already walked 25 times. He's walked 4 times this year.
And the other crazy numbers with Tulo is you look at how hard is he hitting the baseball. He's hitting the baseball as hard as he ever has in his career. The rates are at a higher rate than before. He's just been unfortunate. He's also been in a lot of 2-strike counts.
His chase percentage, as we discussed yesterday, is way up. This ball's a base hit to right. Cargo will stop at second as Pence is quick to the baseball. And they're 2 men on with 2 outs for the baby bull.
Well, anytime you get to 2 strikes, you have to shorten up your swing and make sure you let the ball get deep. Tulo does a good job right here. This is a sinker that he wanted off the plate, but it ran back in. You can see how Tulo keeps his hands inside. He's allowing the ball to travel, allow it to get deep, and then just shoots it into right field. That's a great 2-strike approach.
Speaking of great approach, I know you were really impressed with Willian's approach yesterday.
There's no doubt. I mean, when you go down to the minor leagues and you get an opportunity to play every day, and 50 at-bats in a row, where Willian came into the season the backup catcher, it's helped him out immensely in taking quality at-bats. And you can tell when a guy is starting to swing the ball about well, he hits the ball hard, and usually opposite field. You can see all of his hits last night came to right field. That means you're allowing the ball to travel, you're letting it get deep, you're seeing it, and he's driving it aggressively.
1-0. Willian bounces this up the middle. Crawford's going to win the race to the bag to end the inning. So the Rockies leave 2 on in the first, and we'll go to the second. No score at Coors Field. We'll lead things off with our intrepid reporter, Jeff Houston, once again, moving around the ballpark.
Well, today I waited until the rain stopped before I came down here, but I was thinking about Mark Rasm as I was coming into the ballpark, because I know we didn't get home until after midnight last night, and I went out to Raz around, about 11:30 today. I said, "How you hanging, buddy? Is it okay?" He said, "Man, my back is starting to hurt." These guys do a phenomenal job out on this field, and every day that it rains, they put that turfus down, but they have to scrape it off before the next game, so it's double duty for those guys.
And then they had to squeegee the field, Huey, because there was so much. I mean, it's reached its saturation level. This field drains unbelievably well, but at some point, good job by LeMahieu getting a fast man in Pence, but at some point you just get too much water. They had to squeegee the water off a lot of the grass areas. This is in that lower left field area where they dumped the tarp, and they also had to take care of it on a lot of the areas of the warning track
And that's what Raz was saying when I was talking to him. I said, how's the field holding up, and specifically the grass? He said, it's just about to the tipping point. And how many times have we seen water standing out there after it rains? Yeah, that's where they drain it with the tarp, but it was like a small lake out there today.
It's really remarkable now that we're watching it live. You would have no idea that it is poured as much as it has the last few weeks, and especially just a couple of hours ago, because the field looks pristine right now.
Huey, as being a former infielder, when you're on the infield, what is more important to you, having the dry dirt or making sure the grass on the edge of the dirt is nice and dry as well?
I want the dirt dry because that's the last place that ball's going to hit. So I need to know what it's going to do once it hits the dirt, because the grass, you know, you're going to get a skip on it, but the dirt, I need to know, is it going to be soft when the ball hits like a beach, or is it going to be the consistent playing surface? And that's why they have to take that turfus off and redo it, because otherwise, if they keep building it up, it would become like a beach.
2-1 on Brandon Crawford with 1 out, and he fouls this one off down the left field line and out of play.
Would you say that the turfus makes the infield dirt harder or softer? Is he gone?
Jeffrey?
Hello? There we go.
Yeah,
I think it makes it softer. That turfus does.
Bounces up there to Crawford, who plays a little soccer with the baseball.
So if you know that the surface is going to be a lot softer than you're used to, are you staying down longer when you're fielding a ground ball? Is it affecting how you're fielding at all?
Yes, and you also might be a tad more aggressive coming to get the ball, because the ball will slow down if it hits that softer area.
Another chance for DJ. Two gone, and Jordan Lyles will see Matt Duffy. How about Duffy in 93 at bats as a part-timer? He's driven in 18 runs.
And he runs well. I mean, this guy, when you think of a third baseman, you don't think of a guy that can run as fast as Duffy can run. But it just goes to show with what the Giants have done. You go and you make a trade for Casey McGee, somebody that you felt was going to hit somewhere in the middle of the lineup, and it's somebody that you didn't expect to come and contribute for this Giants team, and he's made a difference. He's made a difference on the base paths. He's done fairly decent playing third base.
This is bounced to too low, and one Long Beach star will throw out another former Long Beach star. 1, 2, 3 inning, 3 ground balls for Jordan Lyles. Well done. Middle of 2, no score, Coors Field. go places. And by Southwest Airlines, book your low fare now at southwest.com. Another crazy weather day in Colorado, especially here in the Front Range. And it really came down. Thunder shower all afternoon. And we had a 2-hour-plus rain delay. This ball's driven to deep center field. Got a chance to fly. Get on it! Ben Paulson to dead center field. He makes it 1-0 Colorado. All he has hit is line drive since he's come up from Albuquerque.
Another example for getting the bats in AAA. You go down there, you work on your swing. It's not about the numbers you put up. It's about getting those consistent at bats, and now you can see it. It's translating to the big leagues. There's guys that'll pound the zone a lot more. The zone is a lot smaller. And Ben Paulson, I love when guys drive the ball up the middle, opposite field. That swing is short, and he had some stay through and some carry on that ball. He gets a rock on and run the bases today.
He hit 4 home runs in a late call-up last year and hit over 300. Walt Weiss really likes his swing, and I know you like his swing. He's short to the baseball and he repeats it.
That's all you can ask for. And when you talk about what a good swing mechanics are, you look for limited head movement, you look to see if your foot's on time, and you look for a repeatable swing, and that's what Ben Paulson has.
Nick Conley on a check swing to Brandon Crawford, and he throws out Nick, 1 out. DJ LeMahieu coming up. Let's break down Paulson's swing.
Well, you can see, again, he gets his foot down well in time to be able to see the ball, and then just driving through the baseball. When I say it's stay through, I'm talking about the bat is in the zone for a long period of time. It means he's driving straight towards the pitcher, keeping that barrel in the zone. So if there was an off-speed pitch, if there was a little movement, that barrel stays in the zone. And it just allows you to finish, allows you to drive right through the baseball and let you get that backspin.
Inside on DJ LeMahieu, hitting .340 against right-handed pitching. He's 4 for 6 against Heston this year. A little open the hips up early and try to drive the baseball. Not his ordinary approach.
Hey, he hit a homer yesterday. Might as well try another one right now. And the sun's out. People are feeling good. The ball is traveling a little bit more today. Go for it.
Crawford throws out LeMahieu, 2 outs. Well, I'm glad the sun's out for everybody, but particularly for Stacy Spilborghs, because what you told us, Stacy really gets in a bad mood if the sun's not out.
Oh man, yeah, I know. I told you, I'm living the dream when the sun's out.
Did she happen to catch that last night?
No, thank goodness, no. But why? I mean, why are we trying to go there? Right?
Well, I was just trying to drum it up again, in case you missed it last night. 2 outs and Lyles at the plate.
Change the subject. The Rockies are 10-5 when scoring first. So sun's out, wife's happy. Rockies scored first.
And that's a stat, in all seriousness. You look around baseball, playing with the lead, very, very important.
It is, because it allows the starting pitcher to settle down. It also gives the offense a little bit more room to be aggressive, take opportunities, not be afraid to swing at first pitches. I think when you're always playing chase, you're trying to do too much, and you have the starting pitcher trying to keep the lead so the offense can come back. Having a lead is a big, big deal.
Jordan working the count. It's 3-2. Jordan pinch hit yesterday. He doesn't have a hit yet this year, but he's the most dangerous of the Rockies starting pitchers with a bat. Not this time, as Heston gets the strikeout, his first of the game. In the inning, Ben Paulson turned around a pitch on the inner half and hit it out to center field to give the Rockies a 1-0 lead as we go to inning number 3. batting order for San Francisco, who wants tacos. If the Rockies score 7 or more, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. Live Moss at Taco Bell. Drew Goodman, Ryan Spilborghs, and Jeff Houston now on just a sun-splashed late May afternoon. Go figure. Andrew Susac will lead it off. Andrew grew up a Giants fan in Sacramento. Then went on to a very good program in Corvallis, Oregon State. A few years back, they won back-to-back national championships. Susac was taken in the 2nd round by the Giants.
He's got a little thunder in his bat. This guy has some pop. His first career homer happened last year against the Rockies in dead center field at Pac Bell. We're at AT&T. I still remember it as Pac
You're dating
Bell.
yourself.
Yeah.
It hasn't been Pac Bell in like 14 years. But I liked when it was Pac Bell. It kind of rolled off the tongue. So I'm with you. Lyles ahead, 2 strikes on Susac. And he's been pounding the zone.
He's 7 out of 8 right now throwing first pitch strikes. And you can see how it changes how you can attack the hitter. You can elevate with the fastball right there for a ball. See if you chase. Now it can open up that changeup if he goes to it.
It's a slider that's up. 2 balls, 2 strikes. We just read you the Taco Bell promotion. As we all know, Rockies score 7 or more, you get tacos. So you're eligible today. That's strike 3. Susac's gone because the Rockies scored 8 runs yesterday. It was in an 11-8 loss. The 8 runs they scored yesterday, the most they've scored in a home game this year. And we touched on this yesterday. To me, that's incredible.
It's incredible when you think of the talent that the Rockies have offensively, and for them not to have scored or had more games over 8 runs, especially at Coors Field.
1-0 on Chris Heston. Jordan Lyles, big athletic guy out of South Carolina. The state. He was going to go play baseball at the University of South Carolina. In fact, he had an opportunity to play football at the University of South Carolina as well. As a wide receiver.
Yeah, I know. When you look at a guy like Jordan Lyles, you think quarterback, not wide receiver, especially pitchers when we make the argument of how they're not athletic. Again, I love the elevated fastball, especially from Jordan Lyles when you're going to be mixing in that sinker with the changeup. And this year he's gotten a little bit more to his cutter as well, which is part of his repertoire, which is nice. I mean, it's rounding him out. Before, when he first got into the big leagues, strikeout up in the zone.
He threw that at 95. So he's feeling good this afternoon. He blows Heston away. 4 strikeouts in his first time through the order. He'll throw his fastball, Spilly, more than anybody else.
He will, and he's got the run, and that's what we're talking about. When he came up with Houston, he was primarily a sinker, changeup, curveball. He's gone away from that. He's now learned a new type of changeup, that splitter grip. He's going to the curveball just to give a different view, and then the cutter. But when you look at the fastball percentage, he's not just throwing 2-seam fastballs like he used to. He is throwing the elevated 4-seam up in the zone to really open up his whole pitch sequence that he can go with. Another first pitch strike.
0-1 on Gregor Blanco. Blanco reached. He struck out, but the ball got past Nick Hundley, and then Nick's throw went down the right field line. Blanco ended up at third. There's nobody out. You figure, well, that's got to be a big run. It wasn't. Arenado gloves that one. So Lyles is on his game, and the Rockies lead 1-0. Arenado and Cargo against Chris Heston. Heston's a Florida kid, went to Seminole Junior College, was drafted twice out of Seminole. It's one of the things, if you go to a junior college, you're eligible to be drafted after your first year, after your second year. He decided not to sign either time, went on to East Carolina, which has a very good baseball program, and he signed after his junior year when he was drafted in the 12th round by the Giants.
Well, he's eaten up some innings for this Giants staff that's missing Jake Peavy and Matt Cain, and he's done a good job.
This ball is lathered toward Pence, and he's playing deep and right on the edge of the track. He makes the catch. A guab, as George Frazier likes to call it. Goodwood AB. One out. Nolan Arenado coming up. The Coors Light Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean, Crisp Coors Light, the game's most refreshing beer. So the Rockies will play a doubleheader. It'll be their 47th. They're 16, 15, and 15. They've swept 16, lost both ends 15 times, split 15 times at home. Pretty good record. Arenado got a pitch to hit there, and he fouled it straight back. The original start times for today's day-night doubleheader were 2:10 and 7:10.
Just means it made me over-caffeinated and over-prepared.
You can never be over-prepared.
Well, I mean, I read a lot of media guides today. I learned some things I wish I never knew.
Can't wait for you to pass some of that info along. This ball's driven to deep left. If it's fair, it's gone. It is foul. Pittsburgh Steeler in our midst. Pittsburgh Steeler fan, I should say.
Oh.
You were looking for a player.
Yeah, I was looking for Lynn Swan or Ben Roethlisberger or somebody like that.
Franco Harris. 1-2 on Nolan. And that's out in front of the plate. Heston throws out Nolan. 2 outs. Now the Rockies put a little something together with 2 outs in the first inning. Cargo walked. Tulowitzki singled. Bolin bounced up the middle, and Crawford grabbed it, touched the bag to end a 2-out pursuit of a run. The Giants don't fully shift against Cargo until he has 2 strikes. So Crawford's still sort of on the left side, way inside. And there's the alignment. Well off the line is Matt Duffy.
I mean, as a right-handed hitter, I never had to hit against the shift, but I know when there was times when I'd look in the outfield and I'd see center fielders shaded into right center where I'd like to hit the ball, it could play a trick on you, and you try to think, well, why don't I just pull it into left center? I would only imagine for Cargo seeing these shifts that it would get frustrating.
1-2-3 inning for Heston in the third. Rockies leading 1-0 on the Ben Carlson home run.
But a better sign, though, is what came out of the Hall of Fame today, because it's congratulations to Vinny Castillo, who won the Home Run Derby contest back at the Hall of Fame game. And everybody knows Vinny and his home run prowess. He had 320 in his career. So for Vinny to go out there, it's an annual event that they have. This year there were 6 Hall of Famers, 30 former Major League players. They go out there and play a game. And besides winning the home run hitting contest, Vinny also went 2 for 3 in the ball game with a double and an RBI. But then again, we kind of expect that from Vinny.
Vinny still likes to take BP, and he can still do damage in BP.
I do damage, dog. They hit it hard and in the streets. That's how Vinny would say it. How I live. There's not a better former Rocky that spends time in the clubhouse than Vinny Castillo. He keeps everyone loose. I mean, the one-liners he has. If there's a base runner at first base for the Rockies, he'll yell, "Go ahead!" telling the pitcher that our guy's going to steal on him. You know, he talks about when he was playing third base and he'd throw it to the first baseman. He threw like Joe Montana.
So Vinny went deep at Abner Doubleday Field there in Cooperstown. I played at that field back in college, and I will tell you that it's a short porch to left.
Small field.
You played there, didn't you?
I did. That's a very small field. But let's not take anything away from him.
He won.
Yeah, he won. There's other big leaguers there.
Good for Vinny. Tell you what, Vinny's son Marco had a really nice year for UNC, Northern Colorado. He's a freshman. Here's the 3-1, and that's a base hit for Joe Panic. That's the first hit allowed by Jordan Lyles. A single in the 4th, leading things off in front of Angel Pagan. Rockies up 1-0.
I think last night when we were watching Nori Aoki and Joe Panic being back-to-back, you realize that the Giants' top of the lineup, that could be arguably one of the better 1-2 punches in baseball as far as on-base percentage goes. These guys are getting on base at over a 360%, a 36% clip. And then you have to back up with Pagan and Belt, Posey.
Pagan, OPS is just under 800. Pretty impressive, especially since he started the year. The first 10 days he was hitting 176. Outside on Pagan, 1-0. Pagan this year against the Rockies is 14 for 28. Billy, I'll do the math for you. That's 500.
I'm still trying to figure.
You can go figure out his weighted runs.
Yeah, I'm not good at that.
Plus.
I let other people do that. I just repeat it.
Weighted runs created plus.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm looking at calculus again.
I'll walk you through it later.
Thank you. He had a nice debate with Corey before the game on that.
Well, Corey's still learning. I think there's metrics in this game that can tell you a lot about a team.
Chance for 2. DJ, good feed on the first. Safe. We got a tough guy to double up. And Tulowitzki immediately signaled toward the dugout because he was eyeballing the throw naturally. Walt's not done anything yet. He's waiting for word inside.
Looks like his foot's in the air.
You know what? They're going to take a look at it. Absolutely, they should. So Walt will challenge it. Dana DeMuth and Marcus Patillo. Marcus Patillo, by the way, is the first base umpire in Game 1. Paul Nauert, who got hit on the thumb with that line drive last night, will work in Game 2. He is okay. Hey, it's time for a Subaru review. Whether you're on the road or at the game, everybody could use a second set of eyes. Here's the thing that we found this year, I think even more so than last year, and maybe it's just my perception of it.
That's an out.
It is out. Good. It just seemed to me that this year, if it's close, they go with whatever was called. But I'm glad they got that right. So it is a 4-6-3 double play. Pagan's got to jog off the field. Took him only 42 seconds to figure it out. Good deal. So 2 outs and nobody on for Brandon Belt. That's how you want to see this guy.
And that's why Walt wanted to make that challenge. I mean, it makes a big difference when you have Brandon Belt with the runner at first and 1 out versus nobody on and 2 outs.
Shift on for Belt. That's just off the plate. Brandon struck out swinging in the first. He's had a big May, hitting .375, which is 4th best in the National League. Gerardo Parra of Milwaukee over .400, as is Yasmani Grandal, who we just saw. This is shattered bat. It's going to work out for Belt, the base hit. And the other guy having a great May, Bryce Harper. Seems like he hits a home run every night.
Well, when you look at this Giants lineup and what they've done in the last week, it's no coincidence when the pitching starts pitching better and you have multiple guys hitting over .360. You're going to win some games, and right now the Giants are playing really good, clean baseball.
So Hunter Pence will come up. Hunter Pence has a 17-game hitting streak. He took care of it with a double in his final at bat last night, and now he's got an 18-gamer against Rockies pitching. Just to finish our thought about how hot not only Belt is, but the Giants overall in the month of May. Look at this graphic of the top hitters in the month of May.
There you go. I mean,
3 of the 6 are Giants.
3 of the 6 are Giants, and you can see why the team's been playing good baseball. I mean, there's nothing you can do when you have 3 guys hitting really well. Right now, Keith Duggar's coming out to check out Jordan Lyles.
You see what happened?
Showing his toe.
See if he landed awkwardly. It's on the lead leg, his left leg. You know, maybe his spike got caught. Kind of looks like the spike got caught a little bit, doesn't it?
It's hard to tell. That'd be a really good guess.
So Hundley's going to run back behind the plate. Jordan's going to throw 1 or 2 pitches to see how it feels. Says okay. And we'll resume with 2 men on, 2 outs. Brandon Crawford coming up. With that base hit, Hunter Pence has now tied Barry Bonds for the all-time hitting streak against the Rockies. Bonds hitting 18 straight at one point, and now Pence is hitting 18 straight. Again, that's just against the Rockies. He does not have an 18-game hitting streak overall going.
Right. Well, and just going to Jordan Lyles and being in that position where you get hurt or you feel like your body is not feeling great, now you're going to have to compete feeling less than perfect is hard, because as a player you want to compete. You feel like you don't want to let your teammates down, and you know it's a doubleheader. It's the 3rd inning. 4th inning, you don't want to be putting Walt in a predicament with the bullpen. So he's going to go out there and fight through whatever he's feeling right now.
1-0 on Crawford. Goes off speed. It's in there. 1 ball, 1 strike. for the record, the all-time hitting streak ever produced against the Rockies. Ryan Braun, 24 straight. Crawford drives it to deep right, but it's going to make a right turn, fortunately, and head foul.
And Jordan Lyles keeps shaking out that left foot. He came off the mound and shook it. He's behind the mound right now, rubbing up the ball. Level of comfort is not there.
One, two. You know, all athletes have to make, with trainers and medical staff, the determination, does it hurt and I can play through it, or is it an injury and am I now susceptible to really hurting myself going forward? The other thing that pitchers have to be aware of is it affecting my mechanics and then potentially producing another injury?
Yep, and that's what you got to be worried about, and most athletes don't give the honest answer to the trainer.
2-2 fouled off. That's why sometimes, and Walt has done this a lot, other managers will do that, when they want to know if a guy is fatigued, how confident he is, he can get, you know, one more hitter, that sort of thing. A lot of times the manager, Bud Black, I think, started it. He'll go out himself and look in the eyes of the pitcher. He doesn't want to hear it secondhand from the pitching coach. He wants, and he knows the type of answer he's going to get, but he wants to look in the eyes of the guy given that answer, see what kind of conviction he has. Good block by Nick. 3-2. Well, now the runners will be moving. Belt at second, Pence at first. Rockies up 1-0 on the Ben Paulson home run. This guy's the RBI leader in baseball among shortstops. Crawford with 28. Starlin Castro next with 24. Cardinals Johnny Peralta third with 21. And now Hundley is summoned from.
Well, Tulo's coming in as well to check, make sure Jordan Lyles is feeling all right. The first 3 innings, Jordan Lyles 8 out of 10 first pitch strikes. This inning, 1 out of 5, and of course the first 3 innings no hits. This inning 3 hits. So I mean, first pitch strike, but now with the foot, you're wondering, is he losing some control because of it, or what's going on? And I'm sure Tulo and Nick Hundley were trying to figure that out as well. Are you all right?
I think some of it had to be if they're changing the signs with Belt on second. Tulo wants to know. Wouldn't that be part
sure.
of it? Yeah. 3-2. And a line drive over the head of Tulowitzki. 1 run will score. Pence is going to get to third. And Crawford continues to have a great first half as he ties up the baseball game. 3 straight singles with 2 outs. 29th RBI for the former UCLA star.
Well, this is ball, fastball up, out over the plate. Crawford gets on top of this baseball, drives it back up the field, opposite way. Tulo just a step, and he might have been able to get that. You can see Jordan Lyles. Here's the follow through, the pitch, and then his reaction.
Matt Duffy. And hard shot, base hit past Willeen Rosario, and the Giants take a 2-1 lead, and Crawford goes first to third. So 4 straight singles. This is kind of reminiscent of what the Rockies did in the 9th inning after the rain delay last night.
Well, again, it's just the Giants offense. Third in Major League Baseball with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. The training staff is going to come out again to make sure Jordan is okay or see what's going on. But out of the 26 runs that Jordan Lyles has given up this season, 14 of them have all come with 2 outs.
Well, this is a shame because Jordan was really dealing. First 3 innings, he didn't allow a hit. Panic began this inning with a base hit. He was erased on a double play ground ball off the bat of Pagan. And Bell, who had the base hit after the double play, if you remember, his bat exploded. It was a good pitch by Lyles, just a bad result from his standpoint. But now 3 ensuing hits, and the Giants have a 2-1 lead in the 4th. Question is, can he finish? Is he comfortable? You load up on the rubber.
Well, you can see, I mean, he's not landing hard on that left foot.
Exactly, and you want to transfer that weight forward, drive the baseball off your left side to the plate.
And as a result, those 2 sinkers were up in the zone. I mean, you can't get on top of the baseball.
Susac struck out looking. Flande has gotten up for the Rockies. Now that's interesting. I was going to look at miles per hour, which if you can't finish, you figure he's going to be a couple ticks down, but he threw that pitch at 94.
Yeah, I don't think it's affecting his velocity. What I think when you're throwing a sinker, you need to get on top of the baseball.
And this gets by and the run scores. That's a bad decision. Threw it in the dirt, and that's a gift run. As Brandon Crawford, who's a guy with speed and is an aggressive base runner, and as soon as he flipped to first, Crawford was already halfway down. As soon as it touched the dirt, he took off.
That's just one of these plays where, you know, it's unnecessary to try to make a pickoff.
The E1.
Ball that short hop Rosario, goes over Duffy, goes over Rosario's head, and then it's an easy run for Crawford to read that.
And you've said this many times, when you're not playing well, managers like to call it clean baseball. That right there is not clean baseball. It's not tight baseball, and you can't give big league teams, you know, 90 more feet on the bases. In this case, the 90 feet resulted in a run.
When you're at the major league level and you're playing a good team, a team like the Giants, the extra opportunities you give them, they make you pay. And when you're playing good baseball on the other side, when you're the Rockies and a team makes an error, and you get a walk with 2 outs, you have to make them pay. And typically at Coors Field, the Rockies have made teams pay.
Another deep count, 3-2. So Duffy will be moving.
Well, and here's the situation. Susac has great power. You got the runners going. You know you have Heston on deck. You have the pitcher on deck. You can be smart with this pitch. You don't have to be too fine.
This is playable for Rosario and foul ground. Willeen makes the catch, but with 2 outs, the Giants produced 3 runs. There was an error in the inning as well. Sports is brought to you by the Ford Super Duty. Built better, built stronger, built Ford tough. By Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Rockies had a 1-0 lead on a home run by Ben Paulson in this first of 2 ball games this afternoon and evening between the Rockies and Giants, but now they trail 3-1. Tulowitzki in the bottom of the 4th takes a slider on the outer edge from Chris Heston at strike 1. Tulo single through the right side back in the first. Tulowitzki, Rosario, and Paulson, and another breaking ball, and this one on the front doorstep. Makes it 0-2. So slider, curveball from Chris Heston. Heston trying to bounce back from a tough performance. This is a fair ball to third. Matt Duffy throws out Tulowitzki. Heston got a no decision against Cincinnati, but in 2 innings he gave up 5 runs on 7 hits. His previous outing down in Houston was a great one. He had his first complete game victory of his career. A complete game 2-hitter in which he struck out 10 and did not walk about it. Rosario out front.
Well, in this inning, Tulo, after a long inning, he's going to typically take a pitch. He gets a first pitch slider followed by a curveball. So right out the gate, you're 0-2, and now Rosario gets his first pitch, an off-speed pitch. Looking for an affordable way to entertain your employees, families, or friends on Sundays? Ask about our Sunday Super Sweet Special. Call to book today.
Nicely done with that, Ryan.
Yeah. Thanks.
2 strikes on Willeen. Willeen hitting .319 since his recall. 3 hits yesterday. Frustrating time for the Rockies offense.
Well, going back to
your, got to figure at some point,
yep,
they're going to make some teams pay.
Yeah, they got to. I mean, it's only a matter of time. Once the lineup clicks, and when part of it too. I mean, we've talked about this off air. There's always a sense of panic. When you have a good lineup, there is no panic. You trust the guy hitting behind you, and that happens due to results. I mean, it's one of those questions: what comes first, confidence or results? And I've always felt that results have to come first before the confidence, and then the confidence in each other. Even if you know you have superstars on your team, good players, it still takes results for you to buy into the whole team aspect, the team at bat.
Rosario goes down swinging, second strikeout for Chris Heston. He is all of a sudden retired 8 in a row after the home run by Ben Paulson, who steps up now.
Well, and Heston has been going more to his off-speed pitches this time around against the Rockies lineup, primarily going to the curveball and slider, late with the fastball. Did the same thing in Houston. He went to the fastball less than 50% of the time. There's a curveball to start off the at-bat to Paulson.
9 in a row set down by Heston, and the Giants, as we go to the 5th, have a 3-1 lead. improving stat. We compare April and May for the defending world champion Giants. In April, they were 4 games under 500. And in May, they're now 15-5 after the 11-8 victory at Coors Field last night. They're hitting better. They're pitching better. Usually, that's what happens when teams win.
Yeah, it's not rocket science. Pitch well, hit well. Boom.
Chris Heston will lead off 9-1-2 in the 5th inning. Jordan Lyles remains in the ballgame despite doing something to his left foot last inning. First pitch is in there for a strike.
Well, there's no dip in the velocity, and so it's maybe one of those pain threshold type things. Does it, like you said, does it change the mechanics? Does it affect how you're following through? The last inning, yes, we saw a couple instances where he wasn't able to finish his pitching mechanics.
That's going to be a base hit off the end of the bat by Chris Heston, who came in hitting .067. You absolutely hate that. I mean, it's one thing if Madison Bumgarner gets a hit against you, or Travis Wood of Chicago, but the leadoff guy, and you're already down a couple of runs, and it's a guy that really doesn't swing the bat very well. And he's got a big old grin on his face right now. He didn't expect to be running the bases.
No.
Just compounds things. It puts Lyles in the stretch against Gregor Blanco. He's got Blanco twice. Last time on a bullet to third. And this ball lined to the right field corner. And the long run for Cargo to get there. Let's see if Roberto Kelly sends Heston. He's going to stop him. Second and third, nobody out.
Well, Blanco just jumps on him.
Well, we've already arrived, Spilly, at one of those times in a baseball game. You're already down a couple runs, second and third, nobody out in the middle of the order coming up.
Yep, and you know what? With Blanco being an aggressive hitter, get a fastball. You see him the third time through. Made him look bad in the first at bat. He was going to jump him, and this is a situation now where the Rockies have runners second and third, nobody out. You're going to give up a run, but just limit the damage. Get yourself out of this inning without giving up the big inning.
Infield comes in halfway for Joe Panik, and that nails Panik. So now the bases are loaded, which does set up the force all around, with Angel Pagan coming to the plate.
Trying to throw a curveball and it ended up hitting Panik. He was well off the mark. You want to try to get in under his hand, see if you can get him to dribble a grounder towards the right side of the infield.
Walt's coming out with Keith Duggar, so they're going to, for the third time, check on Jordan Lyles.
Looks like Keith Duggar's just telling him, hey, you need to come off the field. You're not following through, or he's seen something that he's trying to protect his players.
So Lyles is gone after 4+. Flande was up last inning after Lyles twisted that foot. And it will be Johan Flande coming in. So we'll take a break. 3-1 San Francisco. They have the bases loaded in the 5th with nobody out.
his warm-up pitches, and there was a question we had that we couldn't get to last night on Fan Friday. It's from Anna Lee. She wants to know, what does a player's typical game day schedule look like? Well, Anna Lee, I'm going to take you, say it's a 6:30 start for the Rockies. The players will start showing up anywhere from 1:30 to 2. They'll do some individual work. Maybe they feel like they need to go into the cage and hit off the tee. Maybe they need treatment from the trainers. Usually about 3:30 or 3 hours before, they'll come out and they'll do a team stretch. They'll go ahead and do their batting practice. After batting practice, or while that's going on, guys will take ground balls, fly balls. After batting practice, they'll go back into the clubhouse, maybe grab a snack, and then start to really clear the mind and get game motivated about 45 minutes to 30 minutes before the game, where they're starting to think about that game and that pitcher that they're going to face.
And then also, Huey, you might add that afterwards, a lot of guys, some guys will lift before, but a lot of guys after the game, that's when they'll get their lifting in.
Yeah. That's the best time, I thought, because you were still warm and you're still hot from the game, and it was easier to get a quick 15-20 minute lift in.
So Johan Flande ready to go. Angel Pagan flips over to the right side. There's nobody out and the bases are loaded. 3-1 Giants in the 5th. When did you like to lift?
Well, it just depends. It depends on the routine. If I was at home at Coors Field, I typically wouldn't lift as hard at altitude. I felt better when I worked out harder on the road, so I would work out either before a game if I knew I wasn't starting, or after the game if I did play.
One ball, one strike. Flande working a Pagan. Pagan a pop out and a 4-6-3 double play, and the Rockies up the middle will give up a run to turn a double play.
And Pagan's 0 for 4 this year with the bases loaded. Giants hitting .212 as a team this season with the bases loaded.
Good pitch. 2 balls and a strike.
Just high on the strike zone, but that's a good pitch right there. Try to get right under Pagan's hand, see if you can induce a pop-up or a swing and a miss.
And that's outside, 3-1. So everything in Pagan's corner right now. He's in a hitter's count, and he knows Flande has to come over the plate.
I mean, these situations in baseball, bases loaded, nobody out. The percentages say you're going to score at least 90% of the time, at least 1 run. So he's trying to keep those numbers down.
Gets a pop-up to Cargo in right. You have a pitcher on third. There's no way they're going to send him. So 1 out, and now with Brandon Belt up there, if you get a ground ball, you have the possibility of getting out of this mess without any damage. That would be enormous.
It would be enormous. And watch out, Hessen's at third base. This is why pitchers aren't on the bases too often. He has his foot behind the bag like that. Typically you're putting your foot in front so you have a little bit more space to go. That's like taking a false step.
It's like going 92 feet instead of 90 feet.
Yeah, he was going to run 92 feet on Cargo. He would have been thrown out by 91 feet.
Or maybe he just was doing that for show because he knew there was no way in the world he was going.
I just don't think he's used to being on third base.
Probably right. Belt lines this ball to Paulson. Paulson's got momentum, and again Heston won't go. And they're 2 outs.
Well, Belt does a good job driving the ball left field. Paulson with the running start. Not much Heston can do. Typically, you're going to freeze. Again, this is a pitcher on the bases. Doesn't really feel it.
It's like Roberto Kelly looked at the dugout and goes, listen, I don't have a lot to work with.
Yeah,
here.
I'm not working with much. I think now you just tell him, hey, it's 2 outs. You just go. You don't have to worry about tagging. You don't have to worry about doing anything silly at third base. You just go home. Go home.
Still a tough customer in Hunter Pence at the plate. And Pence takes ball 1. Pence a home run and 5 ribbies since he returned. Had the consecutive game streak of 383, the longest in baseball, snapped at the start of the year when he broke his left arm in spring training when he was hit. And that's a base hit for Pence. 1 run scores, and here comes Blanco. He'll score easily. Hunter Pence, a 2-out, 2-run single. So the Rockies came close to wiggling out of it. But there's Pence to burn him again. 5-1 San Francisco.
Again, this is 2-out RBI. Hunter Pence just has so much reach, so much plate coverage. This ball's off the plate, he hits it. And because Hunter Pence is so strong, you hear me talk about that long path through the zone. He was fooled by that pitch, but because he can swing so hard, because he has that path through the zone, because he's 6'4", he's able to make good solid contact enough to get the ball over the infield and for that RBI, 2 RBI single.
Brandon Crawford had an RBI single his last time up, and he waves at a slider. It's 0-1. Panic at second, Pence now at first. 5 runs, 8 hits for the Giants, a run on 2 hits for the Rockies. 0-2.
And all these 5 runs, 2 outs. Saw last night in last night's game, they scored a lot of runs with 2 outs. Had that big 8th inning, top of the 9th inning, scoring 4 runs, all with 2 outs. I mean, that's what makes the Giants so good. They take these quality at bats late in the inning. And that's a trust in the lineup that we talk about, that you're not panicked. If there's an opportunity to put the ball in play or earn a walk, you earn the walk, and you're not looking to hit a 2-run home run.
This ball's well hit to center field, and it's going to run to the wall. Pence will score easily. It's a 2-run triple for Brandon Crawford on an 0-2 pitch. And the Giants lead it 7-1.
See Brandon Crawford, he's been hitting .366 with runners in scoring position. You talk about the lefty on lefty, how well he's been doing it this year. This is a slider that stays out over the plate. Crawford drives it into that right center gap, and then the ball is up in the zone. You can see he wasn't swinging out of control. Here he is turning on the afterburners to try to get to third base. 2 strikes, it doesn't matter. You feel confident that you can put the ball in play, and Crawford does a good job right there with 2 strikes, lefty on lefty to make Flande pay.
Matt Duffy, an RBI single, 1 for 2. Crawford with 31 ribbies now. Big total. We were talking about DJ's 20 RBIs. Big total for a guy who hits primarily in the 8th spot. Crawford most days hits in the bottom third of the lineup. Again, they came in hitting .402 with runners in scoring position over the last 10 ball games. They've been outstanding with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Pagan and Pence visiting. 3-0's in there, 3-1. This is kind of strange. Only Milwaukee has a higher batting average. Now, Milwaukee is playing better. This ball is well hit to center field. Blackman will get over and make the catch, and that will end the inning. 4 runs for the Giants. 4 2-out runs, and the Giants lead it 7-1. and Flande do. The Rockies just sent out this tweet moments ago. The second game of today's doubleheader will begin approximately 40 minutes after the last out of game 1. Gates still open at 6 p.m. So for those that at home watching this one, getting ready to come down, wondering when it would start, with the first game being delayed 2 hours and 15 minutes. That's how it'll work. Originally scheduled to be a day-night doubleheader, 2 and 7, so it'll work more as a conventional doubleheader. 7 runs, 9 hits for the Giants. Hanging curveballs hit the deep left field, and Nick Huntley has hit it out. And for Nick, his 4th home run of the year. That makes it 7-2.
Just keep plugging away. This is one of those situations where there's still plenty of game left. If you can scratch and claw, keep the game moving forward, try not to give up too many runs, but just keep trying to get the offense to score at least a run a game, a run an inning. You'll have an opportunity late in this game to possibly win it. You can see here's a hanging slider out over the plate. Nick Huntley putting the nice quality swing he's been having for the last 2 weeks. And there it is. That's what you do with a flat slider.
So here's DJ. He grounded to short his first time. You see the ball flight again, and Nick runs into him. He's a strong dude, man. He'll hit him far. It's his 13th career home run against the Giants. He's hit more home runs against San Francisco pitching than any other team. 6 against the Rockies when he was with San Diego, 6 against Arizona.
Well, and that's the first home run hit by a right-handed batter off of Heston.
Righties had come in. This is line to center field, hitting just .217 against him. Huntley a home run, and now DJ a base hit. You can't get it back in one chunk, but there are enough outs to have one of those old-time Coors Field specials where you got to just outscore.
A run in inning keeps you very close to this game. You get a run in inning, you scratch and claw. This is where Flande's not the best with the bat in his hand. This is one of those situations where the pitcher really looks like he's never hit before.
He's not going to hit. He's got three attempts to get a bunt down. That's one. Staring down at Stu Cole. Stu could yell at him. Bunt.
Yeah. Mark Foley used to do that. That was one of the great roving coaches for the Colorado Rockies. Was my AAA manager in 2005. Had a player that didn't know the signs, so he just yelled at him, bunt. Good job, Flande.
For a second, Bell thought about going to Crawford, and Flande got the job done.
Check out the On Deck Rooftop Ticket Package. Available online only. It's the most affordable and flexible way to purchase rooftop tickets. For more information, visit Rockies.com/rooftop. You know what? Flande had 4 sacks last year. I would never have guessed that.
And you were beating him up.
I was beating him up.
I want you to go down to the clubhouse in between games and apologize.
I will do that. I'll get another coffee.
Charlie's up. He hit a deep line drive to right field that Pence caught on the edge of the track. Outside, ball 1. Rockies yesterday didn't score until the 7th inning. And then scored all 8 of their runs in the 7th inning forward. Inside. Figure out a way to get this run home. This may do it. Deep right center field. It may get 2 home. Charlie Blackmon. 2-run shot. Here come the Rockies. 6th big fly of the year for Chuck Nasty.
And that's got to feel great for Charlie Blackmon. 3 for his last 27 coming into this game, and just getting a chance to score with a runner in scoring position. 296 batting average with runners in scoring position. He likes it. But that pitch out over the plate, Charlie's got some pop. You can see it. The ball takes off his bat, and now we got a ball game.
Just his 2nd and 3rd ribbies the last 15 ball games. 7-4 the score after that home run with Arenado coming up.
That is center cut for Charlie to hit it. He's in his hitter's count. And when he hits the ball jumps off the bat. He can put it pretty far out there.
2nd on the club in home runs to Nolan Arenado, who's got 7. Pop out and a comebacker for Nolan. Up front a little bit, and it's in the air to Pagan in center. 2 outs. That'll bring up Cargo. A walk and a ground ball to first. Pitch, curveball, strike 1.
And this is part of the day at Coors Field. When the sun's out, you start to see the shadows creep in. Right now, Heston's in the sunlight, and Cargo's in the shadow of the lights behind him. See that shadow pretty good. Now, a lot of people think that it doesn't make that big of a difference, but it does. The ball comes out bright and then it goes dark.
This ball is well hit to left. Blanco in the corner. Would make the catch. Now he emerges from that corner.
Not a lot of foul territory at Coors Field. Blanco was thinking about jumping into the stands to get that, but that overhang rises up quite a bit. Those pads, you think, soften the blow, but it still hurts when you jump into those.
1-2. Stayed off that slider. Tough pitch to lay off. 2-2. Tougher when the pitcher's in the shadow.
Yes, it's actually tougher when the pitcher's in the shadow. At least right here, you can see the ball out of the hand. It's just being able to pick up spin. And when you talk to hitters, being able to read the spin, part of it comes down to whether you get your foot down in time. It allows you would think 4/10 of a second isn't much time, but if you get your foot down in time when the ball's about halfway to home plate, you can see the ball a lot better.
And another walk to Gonzalez. With 2 outs, he'll go to first, and Tulowitzki will come up. Troy, base hit his first time, and a ground ball to third, 1 for 2. Now look at this new little ritual. Brandon Barnes and Charlie Blackmon. A slap in the face, and then they bark at each other.
Oh, that's great. It's nothing better than hitting a home run and having your friend slap you in the face.
And Tulo out front. Rolls it to Duffy. That'll end the inning. But the Rockies counterpunch. They were down 7-1. They scored 3 times. A Nick Hundley home run, and then a Charlie Blackmon 2-run home run to right center field. 7-4 as we head off to inning number 6 in the first of 2 at Coors Field on a Saturday. The Rockies actually took a 1-0 lead in this ballgame on a home run by Ben Paulson. They fell behind 7-1, and then last inning, it was Hundley and Blackman going deep. Charlie a 2-run shot. Johan Flande gives up the first pitch double here to Andrew Susak. Flande in the ballgame for Jordan Lyles, who started out very strong. He did not give up a hit until the 4th inning, but when he was making a pitch in that 4th inning, he injured his left foot. And the trainers and Walt Weiss and Steve Foster came out 3 different times, and they finally removed him after he gave up some runs and looked continually to be more and more uncomfortable.
It's one of those things where the Rockies haven't, no pun intended, caught a break. You're having Jordan Lyles is off to one of his better starts, and in the month of May, first pitch strikes, commanding the strike zone, not giving up a hit, and then the wheels fall off it, and not for any reason other than it looked like injury hurt him.
Heston trying to get a bunt down, and he does a perfect job of bunting it to the third base side. And Flande gets it to DJ, so it's a sack 1-4, and Susak is at third base. The Rockies will have to pull the infield in with Blanco coming up.
Bite to the Game takes place on every Sunday home game this season, with the next one on May 24th. Get more info at rockies.com/green. Hopefully the weather's nice. Did you go on a bike built for 2, Drew? Have you ever done that?
I have not done that.
You should do that tomorrow.
You and I?
Yeah.
On the way to the ballpark?
Sure.
I'll get back to you.
Okay, well, I'll be here all day. So will you.
That is true. Conley taking a shot. Just read where Yasmani Grandal been placed on the 7-day concussion list.
Well, I've heard the argument. You can see nowadays there's 2 different styles of catcher's mask. You can go for the hockey style catcher's mask, or you can go for the older school, like what the umpire's wearing now. From what I've talked to, when I talk to catchers, when the ball hits the old school mask, the mask will move and give a little bit more. So some guys like it because those direct shots don't hurt as bad. But then there's the comfort of these new catcher's helmets like the hockey mask, and I want to say it was Charlie O'Brien.
It was Charlie O'Brien. He was the first to do it.
He was the first one to do it, and like the comfort of it, and like the ability to have a little bit more ice space so you can see the baseball a little bit better.
2 strikes on Gregor Blanco. Blanco has been a contrast for the Giants compared to everybody else who've been bragging on hitting with runners in scoring position. Blanco just 1 for 16. Fonde trying to continue that trend. Slider count 1-2, and the slider's down low 2-2. Tell you what, give him 2 more of those.
I like the pitch. It's a good sequence. Try to get Blanco out on his front foot, see if he'll flail away, get him to chase. He chased in the first inning on a pitch down in the zone. You can also elevate, but making sure it's way above the belt.
This is in the air to short right. Cargo's there, and Susak is not going to attempt to run on Cargo, so they're 2 outs. And that'll bring up Joe Panik. Rockies made a roster move earlier today, actually a couple of them. Ken Roberts with some elbow inflammation was placed on the DL. Brooks Brown, who's been on the DL with shoulder inflammation, was reinstated. He's not pitched since May the 3rd. And David Hale, you can call up a 26th man when you play a doubleheader. That in the last CBA deal. And David Hale, the former Atlanta Brave, will start on the mound for the Rockies in Game 2. That's some big league time. It'll be his Rockies debut.
And Hunter Strickland for the Giants was the 26th man called up for today's doubleheader as well.
Now he's going to work out of the bullpen. Yusmeiro Petit he's like a jack of all trades for them down in that bullpen. He does them all well. He's going to make the start for San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Jack of all trades is the best way to say it. Starting, he has a save this year, comes out of the bullpen, long relief.
2-0's in there, 2-1.
Well, the Giants offense doesn't come out till 2 outs. All 7 of their RBIs with 2 outs, all 7 of the runs with 2 outs. Break the trend.
Two-1, pulled to Rosario, dives, can't get it, and the run comes home. And all 8 runs now have come with 2 outs as Panik rolls a base hit into right field. He has his 13th RBI.
Well, this ball goes right under Rosario, a couple steps to his right. Again, Rosario playing off the bag. This ball is just hit in the perfect spot. Puts the ball in play and get things happening. Again, I mean, we tried to jinx it by saying that they've scored all 7 runs with 2 outs, and now I feel responsible for it.
Don't.
Okay.
Pagan is 0 for 3, takes strike 1. Pagan is the only man in the Giants lineup without a hit. Top of the 6th inning. And the Giants have 11 hits. And they didn't have any hits through the first 3. So all 11 hits in the last 2 2/3.
And all with 2 outs.
Pagan, that one's going to find its way through the middle of the diamond. Panik will go first to third. And now every Giant has a hit, including the pitcher Chris Heston.
Last 2 base hits for the Giants, perfectly placed. This ball is just to the right of Tulowitzki. Doesn't have a chance to make a play, and look at Panik just going first to third. One of those situations where it doesn't help to have him at third base with putting that extra pressure on Charlie Blackmon to field the ball clean. Putting that little bit of pressure on the defense to make sure you play the game the right way.
Brandon Belt 1 for 3, single and a run scored in the 4th. He lined the ball to the left that Paulson came up and made a catch on it. Held Chris Heston at third. It looked like the Rockies were going to somehow wiggle out of problem in the 5th, but then Hunter Pence came through with a 2-out single, and then there was a double, or excuse me, the triple to drive in 2 from Crawford. 1-1. Belt has hit .370 out on the road, which is his second best road average in the National League, to Adeiny Echeverria of Miami, who's hit .382. Two and one.
And both of those guys playing for teams whose home ballparks aren't considered hitter friendly. See that box score, it is filled up.
And this ball is hit well left center field. This one's going to run to the alley. 1 run is scored. Here comes Pagan. He'll score easily. 2-run double, Brandon Belt. So the Rockies make a move. They get 3 runs in the 5th inning to get back in at 7-4. And the same thing that occurred late last night. They can't put a stop up when they get out in the field. Flande's gotten peppered pretty well. And it's now 10-4 San Francisco. 10 runs, 13 hits.
There is nothing more demoralizing to a team after you score runs than to give up runs the next inning, and especially 2 outs. You can see Brandon Belt so far this year has been hitting .167 against left-handed pitching. Be able to sit back, drive it opposite field with some authority. I mean, everything is going right for the San Francisco Giants team. I mean, everybody, you look at the lineup, you're getting hit, pitchers are getting hits. The lineup, with if a guy strikes out, he ends up on third base. Things are just going really well for this Giants team. It's time to throw a monkey wrench in.
Pence 2 for 3, 2 runs scored, 2 runs driven in. Belt leads off second, and it's high on Hunter Pence. So when he was at Texas Arlington, he was so awkward defensively. A lot of scouts liked him because of his bat. But Texas Arlington tried to protect him defensively, so when they would take infield, outfield before games, the scouts are always there early. They want to see BP. You remember this, Billy, when you were at UCSB. They want to see how you throw, how you move during infield, outfield. They'd have him standing next to a coach just catching the balls when they came in. They didn't let him play the outfield until the game started. And one of the things he did, which was, you know, very different, he put his glove up, naturally it's on his left hand, and he grabbed his wrist with his right hand to make catches when he first got to college.
What?
Flande strikes out Pence to end the inning. 3 runs for the Giants in the 6th after scoring 3 in the 5th and 3 in the 4th. sixth, all with 2 outs. And the Giants have a 10-4 lead. Chris Heston in the 6th inning will see Willeen Rosario, Ben Paulson, Nick Hundley. The Rockies did get 3 in the 5th. A pair of home runs. Hundley had a solo home run. Charlie Blackmon a 2-run shot. Rockies have actually hit 3 home runs in a game this afternoon. They haven't done much of that this year. Ben Paulson had a home run to give the Rockies a short-lived 1-0 lead in the 2nd. Willeen takes down low. It's 1 ball, 1 strike.
And Heston has settled down quite a bit. The 10 groundouts so far today to 3 flyouts, 2 strikeouts. He's not going to strike you out, but he will make you put the ball in play. What Heston's doing is what we call pitching backwards. In certain situations, certain counts, like a 2-1 count right here, rather than go to the fastball, he's been going to the off-swing pitch. He's been doing that for the last 2 rounds of Rockies hitters.
Willeen beats it into the ground, and Matt Duffy throws out Rosario. Log on to CFD Rodeo /Aerosmith. That's right. Aerosmith will be in Old Cheyenne this year. You have a chance to win tickets for the Wednesday, July 22nd show. Steven Tyler and Aerosmith at Cheyenne Frontier Days, summer's largest country music festival. When Aerosmith became a country act, but they're a good act. So did I tell you my Steven Tyler story?
No, let's hear it.
It was at the Super Bowl last year, 1.5 years ago, not the recent one, but working the Super Bowl in New York. At 3 straight nights, doing the radio show there, Hastings and I came back and went next door to the hotel to Ray's Pizza approximately 2:30 each morning.
Okay.
And Steven Tyler 3 straight days was there. Nights, I should say, or mornings. There's a base hit for Paulson. They hop Ben. He's 2 for 3. My man said, dude, why don't you think about purchasing the place? He was there every night.
Loved it.
Yeah, a little mini entourage. He was great.
I like how he always used the handkerchiefs on his mic stand. That's cool. I wish I could do that with my bat. Imagine if I walked up with a handkerchief wrapped around my neck.
That would be different. May get you plunked.
Could get me.
Nick Hundley at the plate. Four runs, 6 hits for the Rockies. They've committed 2 errors. Here's some good pitching news. It had the opportunity to pass along yet. A couple days ago, John Gray worked 6 2/3 of shutout baseball for Albuquerque. Best start of the year. Struck out 3, walked 2. Last couple starts been much better for John.
And you want to see that seasoning with John. I mean, everybody knows he's got the big fastball, but when you get him to the big leagues, you want him to be effective. I mean, this is a guy that the Rockies have high hopes for. You want him to succeed. He's going to need to have a secondary pitch.
1-2. Javier Lopez throwing in the Giants bullpen. Scott Oberg is throwing in the Rockies pen. Pitchers 2 doors down for the Rockies.
And I think in Walt's mind right now, it's if you get to the pitcher spot this inning, you are going to pitch it for Flande. But if you cannot score a run or get some traction going, you probably want to run Flande out a little bit more. Try to eat up some more innings for this doubleheader.
A little more information on Jordan Lyles, a little more specific information. We knew that the injury was to his left foot. It's a sprained toe. if anybody's ever sprained a toe, particularly a big toe, we don't know if it's a big toe, it'd be very debilitating. Lyles, as I'm sure you can guess, listed day to day. Descalso with the bat there in the dugout. Brandon Barnes got a hat in hand. Rafael Noah is going to put a helmet on. They all three can't come up at once. I know that. 3-2, and this ball's down the line, just foul.
Well, this was always the game that I played when I was a bench player for the Rockies, is trying to figure out, am I going to get an opportunity to hit, and when? Is there going to be a double switch, and when? You're trying to play the game along with the manager. A lot of times you're having to rely on the bench coach, but there's also times where it is going to change pitch by pitch, whether this guy gets on, whether the guy hits a double and there's a runner in scoring position. You want a certain guy hitting in that situation if they're going to make a pitching change.
Well, the beautiful thing about virtually all new stadiums, and the Rockies in particular, but Brandon Barnes has to walk down those stairs and walk up another about 8 steps, and he's at the indoor hitting cage, and the Rockies have 2 in there that they can utilize. Were you one when you weren't starting to utilize that? There goes Paulson again. This is bounced to short, so Crawford has to go to first. 2 outs.
Well, we all have routines, and when you're a pinch hitter, your routine usually starts around the 4th, 5th inning. You want to stay away so the starters, if they feel like they need to come in and get some swings during the game, which I've seen before, it's rare, but there are times where there's a pitcher down there in those cages, and Garrett Olson, Garrett Carson, and Pat Burgess, and they'll throw to you during the game, and you try to get loose. You start warming up in the 5th, 6th, and start playing that game with the manager, figuring out if you're going to get that at bat or not.
DJ singled and scored in the 5th. Heston hits the strike zone there.
There's that fastball count, 1-0, and he throws a slider in there off the plate. This is when we talk about pitching backwards. You're assuming fastball in hitters' counts, and he's throwing off speed. And in certain counts, he's throwing fastball.
Heston came in with a 3-3 record, a 3.72 ERA, thrust into a starting role with the injury to Matt Cain. Giants have gotten a boost not only from the work of Chris Heston, but the resurgence of Tim Lincecum. See Lincecum tomorrow. This ball is going to get through, a base hit, and around third here comes Paulson. An RBI single for DJ LeMahieu, came in hitting .500 with runners in scoring position. What a terrific first couple of months DJ continues to have. And the Rockies with that run make it 10-5.
And you're just continuing to try to keep yourself in the game. 10-5, yes, you're still down 5 runs, but you keep plugging away, keep adding runs. You can see this is a hanging slider. DJ does a good job putting the ball in play, goes right through the 6 hole right here, past the diving Duffy, and Paulson never stopping.
This will be interesting. After Dave Righetti departs, does DJ LeMahieu try to go real early in this count, if not first pitch? You have Rafael Noah pinch hit. You say, wait a second, they're down by 5 runs. But if you can steal a base and throw a single out, you can almost, quote unquote, steal a run. And if he gets thrown out, you're going to the bench next inning anyhow, and you're starting with either a Noah or a Barnes, that type of hitter.
If he steals right now and gets thrown out, you burn Noah. So you try not to get caught stealing with 2 outs with the pinch hitter, because you're going to have to. He's not allowed unless you put the pitcher in DJ's spot.
That would be the downside.
And that's
of doing
the downside, yeah. And these are one of those situations where at first base, Eric Young's probably telling DJ, hey, we're going to let the pinch hitter hit. Maybe with 2 strikes, he can go ahead and take a chance.
This is hit pretty well to right. Pence going back, and it's off the top of the wall. DJ to third. He gets a green light from Stu Cole. No throw from Paddock. Rafaeli Noah makes it 10-6 with a pinch double. No reason to try to steal there, Spill.
Yeah, what were you thinking right there? You're overthinking the game. 2 days in a row, Rafael, with the pinch hit. Had a pinch hit yesterday hitting right-handed. Today he has one hitting left-handed. Back pocket is out for flavor. Here's the ball out over the plate. It puts a good good swing on it. What I like is DJ never looking back. He's running. He's expecting to score. When Hunter Pence gets his ball in, Paddock has no chance. And the ball hits that crease just enough to make sure Pence isn't able to pick it up nice and clean. Look at DJ. He's going to pick up Stu Cole. He's anticipating he's scoring the whole time. Paddock probably has a chance at him at the plate, but doesn't take it. We love it. 10-6.
Javier Lopez has been summoned. Chris Heston is done. Runs here with 2 outs. It's 10-6. They were down 7-1 and they made it 7-4. They got to slow the Giants down, but the Rockies offense has come alive. Javier Lopez will face Charlie Blackmon. Charlie had a 2-run home run last inning. Got Noah at second. Lopez has made a career, and a lengthy one at that, being one of the better left-handed specialists in the sport.
Well, he got traded in July 31st, 2010, and since then, he leads all of left-hand pitchers with games pitched in 321. That's 195.2 of an inning. I mean, there's a reason why Bochy has won 3 World Series in the last couple of years. When you're able to use your bullpen and match up, and you have a guy like Javi come in and give you these lefty-on-lefty tough at-bats.
The old line about show me a good manager, I'll show you a good bullpen.
Exactly.
What's unusual is bullpens are usually pretty fluid, change sometimes dramatically year to year. The Giants with 3 rings in the last 5 years. Lopez and Affeldt have been staples. Romo's been down there. Casilla has been down there in large measure. So they haven't had a ton of turnover.
And no reason to. They've all been effective. They've all been quality bullpen arms coming at you.
2-1. That's a strike. Saw on the graphic the league from the left side hitting .091 against the former Rocky Javier Lopez. Righty's not much better, 154.
the unorthodox delivery. It comes from a different arm angle. Sweeps at you.
And this is on the ground to panic. That will end the inning, but the Rockies produce a couple of runs. Paulson and LeMahieu singles, Enoa a double, and the Rockies within 4 as we go to the 7th at game 1.
First 10,000 fans through the gates tomorrow will receive a mullet hat, sponsored by Jack Links.
You know, there are looks that don't work for certain individuals, and then there are
Ones
looks
that do?
that really do fit somebody's personality. I think that's a good fit for you.
I don't think this is a good fit for me.
You
I mean,
like
I
that?
always really wanted to grow hair like this, but I wanted it more on my chest, not coming out of the back of my hair.
I think you could pull that off.
Really? Chest hair?
No.
Oh,
The mullet.
Mullet hair. Yeah.
Why don't you just for kicks, take Stacy out to dinner tonight?
With
it's
this
probably-
thing on?
Tonight you're going to be working.
Yeah, I know.
And take her out with that sometime next week. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Well, I'm more of a take the hat off at dinner type of guy, being polite. So this will definitely, this thing has to come
Dine outside then.
Okay,
I want
there
you
you
to
go.
wear that.
There
I want
you
to
go.
see what the reaction is. You don't. Yeah. So you'll never look this good.
Nope. It's adorable.
She is. Here's Brandon Crawford. Scott Oberg's now in the ball game for the Rockies. Looking to get the Rockies back on offense quickly. Top of inning number 7. Colorado trailing 10-6. They've been out hit 13-8. That's a strike, 1-1. Scott making his 14th appearance. Some good and a couple of rough outings mixed in as well.
Well, and that's expected. I mean, Scott Oberg has been thrown into a lot more situations of late because of his stuff, and he's been very good at stranding the inherited runners, and that's one of the numbers you look at when you start looking at guys, especially in situations. He's only allowed 1 out of 12 runners to score, 8% of the inherited runners. That's a good stat when you're looking at bullpen. I don't like to look at ERA because it's such a small percentage of numbers.
Looked like he went.
Of course he
I guess not. 2-2. I couldn't agree with you more. I think ERA is
It's overrated.
for a
relief
reliever,
pitcher.
it's not indicative
No.
of how they're doing, because if you have a bad outing, and all relievers, you get called 60, 65 times, 70 times, you're going to have some bad outings. But it takes a while to undo a bad outing from an ERA perspective.
Oh, and at Coors Field, I know for years, and Brian Fuentes told me this great story. Out in that bullpen, there's a wall. So behind the bench of the bullpen, up against the mesh, the chain link fence, farther to the right. So where the guys are sitting, and there you go. So behind there's a bathroom, and by the bathroom, there's a wall. And on that wall, pitchers have put kind of like a rite of passage. A third of an inning, 8 runs, 8 hits. Some of these bad innings that they've had at Coors Field, because it'll happen. It happens at this field. But understanding that it's not about that ERA. It's not about the back of the baseball card. It's about coming in protecting the lead or giving innings to allow that team to win.
You have to like the competitiveness that Scott Oberg brings. As I like to say sometimes with the guys, the lack of fear. He expects to do well. He's done well throughout his minor league career, and he knows he has the stuff to do well here in the big leagues. Ground ball from Crawford to Tulowitzki, his shortstop counterpart, and now Matt Duffy will come up 1 for 3, an RBI in the 4th. Yeah, the Pen really pitched exceptionally well over the last 9 ball games. Last night they had a rough night.
No, we had a nice graphic up last night talking about how well they've done, and we cough up 7. So that's not my fault because I talked about it. Nope.
The home run that Bergman allowed last night to Matt Duffy was the first the bullpen had allowed since May the 10th, 41 innings. Justin Turner had gone deep for the Dodgers. Giants have won 7 straight. They've not won 8 in a row since 2004. One and 2.
Well, and 10 RBIs will certainly help you try to get close to that number. I hadn't remembered the last time I've ever seen a game where there was 10 2-out RBIs, and last time the Giants did it was in 2004.
On the ground to second. Actually, they won 8 in a row in 2011 with the Giants playing 2 today. Had they, if they're in a position to win both, and hopefully they're not, 9 in a row has not been achieved since 2004, and that may surprise some people given the fact that this team's won 3 World Series titles in the last 5 years.
Well, it's not easy to go on streaks where you're winning 7, 8, 9, 10, or 21 out of 22. Certain things like that don't happen too often.
Andrew Susac, and this is in the air to Cargo and playable. So Oberg did exactly what he needed to do. He's going to get the Rockies right back to the bat rack after putting up runs in the last 2 innings. 10-6 the score. #1 volume Lexus dealer. Amazingly, the Giants have scored all 10 of their runs this afternoon with 2 outs. Brandon Crawford continues to hurt not only the Rockies but everybody else in the league. He's got 3 RBIs this afternoon. Charlie Blackmon with a 2-run home run. Nick Hundley there with a solo home run. Here's Charlie's to right field. Ben Paulson a home run earlier. The Rockies bats have come alive in the last couple of innings. They've scored 5 times. And Hunter Strickland is now on the mound for the Giants. They've made another defensive move. Joaquin Arias will take over at third for Matt Duffy. Nolan Arenado will lead it off. 2, 3, and 4 for the Rockies. Gonzalez, Tulowitzki after that. The Rockies with 9 outs to work with offensively. Strickland added earlier today, the 26th man. When you play a doubleheader, you can add a 26th man. He's in the air to center field. Pagan retreats just a couple of steps, 1 out. The day after every Rockies victory, get 50% off your online order at Papa John's. The promo code is ROCKSWIN at papajohns.com. Hunter Strickland, a 26-year-old, brought up from Sacramento. A 1.66 ERA in the PCL. Closing games for Sacramento, 5 for 5.
And last year he was up with the Giants towards the end of the last.
This ball's in the air to left. Blanco's there, 2 outs. Tulowitzki is single in the first. Couple ground balls to third since then. Inside corner. Strickland was on the Giants postseason roster last year. Had a rough postseason, 6 home runs, an ERA well over 7 and 8 in the third.
He's got a big arm. He throws hard fastball, but when you're missing in the postseason up in the zone, especially when teams are playing their best baseball, you saw with Kansas City last year. And the Giants, of course, getting hot in October. Teams don't miss. I mean, it's like this Giants team right now. When you're playing good baseball, you make mistakes to them, they're going to make you pay.
0-2 on Tulowitzki. Well, Strickland was brought up in September. You know, the rosters expand.
Yep.
He was so good that they added him to the postseason roster. He had 7 scoreless appearances. They said, you know what, we're going to give you a shot in the postseason.
Yeah, he's throwing 98 miles an hour. They just weren't sure what you're going to get. And I think that's one of the risks you take when you have a rookie and you put him on the postseason roster.
And he hadn't pitched prior to that above Double-A. He gets a strikeout at Tulowitzki at 1, 2, 3, 7th inning for Hunter Strickland. So we move to the 8th inning. 10-6 Giants. complimentary link to what's next. What's next is 40 minutes after the conclusion of this game, Game 2. Yusmeiro Petit, who's always been good as a spot starter, will make his first start of 2015 for the Giants. And David Hale, the former Brave, will come up and make a start for the Rockies. It will be his Colorado debut. He had an oblique injury in spring training, which kind of slowed him down, and he's been pitching in Albuquerque. Joaquin Arias at the plate, bounces it to short, came in a double switch. Tulowitzki will throw him out. Second inning of work for Scott Oberg.
This is arguably the most important inning for the Rockies if they want a chance to win this ball game, is get out of this inning, prevent some runs, and then try to get your Rockies lineup to score in the 8th. So at least when you come into that 9th inning, because it is hard to score off a closer. You can't expect to score 4 against a closer. You're going to have to score 4 or 2 off the 8th inning guy.
No, and something else, not to belabor a point we have discussed quite frequently, but your big money guys, the guys that hit in the middle of the order, haven't gotten it done. And today, they had 2, 3, and 4 in the 7th inning after putting up 5 runs in the previous 2 innings. It was a quick and quiet inning for the Rockies. Blanco hits this fair. Nice pickup by Rosario, and he gets it to Oberg. Well done. The bottom of the order produced virtually the entire offense for the Rockies, save the 2-run home run from Charlie Blackmon. LeMahieu's got a couple hits. Hundley has a home run and a single for Paulson, hitting out of the 6th spot. Inoa had a pinch hit double to drive in a run.
Yeah, I mean, you never want to have the middle of your lineup slumping, and when you have 3 guys that are swinging not so well, you look at what Nolan has done his last 7 games. He has 3 hits in 27 at bats now. Tulo, he's been struggling. Cargo, he's been working the walks. I like that Cargo's been getting on base. He's not getting his hits, but he's still finding a way to get on base.
Joe Panik has been on base 3 times today, 2 hits, and he was hit by a pitch. He has scored 2 runs. He's driven 1 in.
It's still amazing to me, Drew, to think that 10 runs with 2 outs. They said
this guy looks like he's going to entrench himself for years to come at second base for the Giants. Their 1st round pick in 2011, 29th pick in the 1st round out of St. John's.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Blackouts and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
Angel Pagan. Strike from Oberg.
And going back to your point on Panik, I mean, the guy takes quality at bat. We saw it last year when he got called up to the Giants and really solidified the infield. Really was a quality at bat. You talk about, you look at the postseason run for the Giants, a lot of it has to do with that guy at first base. Taking those quality at bats, making sure they turn the double plays. Part of what makes the Giants so good is the pitching, the defense, and the timely hitting, or being able to get on base.
He came up, played 73 games, hit .305. Three hits today. He's hitting .303. Two balls and a strike on Pagan.
Now this could be a situation where you go ahead, steal, or try to get a guy moving in a hitter's count, 2-1.
Not going. Panik stole some bases, not an inordinate amount in the minor leagues, a 10 to 15 bag guy. There's functional speed.
Yeah, functional speed. It just gives another weapon. It makes the pitcher be aware that he may have to be quicker to the plate. Forces the catcher to throw more fastballs. Also has the infielders have to be looking over the shoulder to make sure he's not going.
This is back at Oberg, who gloves it, and Pagan lines out to end the top of the 8th inning. Panic left at first, 10-6 San Francisco. The Rockies in the bottom half of the 8th will have Willeen Rosario to lead things off. Nolan Arenado, learn more about the challenges Nolan has overcome in making his way through professional baseball to becoming a star at third base for the Rockies. Learn more about his relationship with the guy who plays next to him, Troy Tulowitzki. It's Rockies Real Time. Jenny did a marvelous job with our entire crew on that.
Yes, she did.
Catch that later on this evening. Willeen takes a pitch up and in from Hunter Strickland. Second inning of work for Strickland. 1-2-3 7th for Strickland, who struck out Tulowitzki to end the 7th inning. Rosario's 0 for 3. And that's strike one, 1-1. Then Paulson on deck, then Nick Hundley. Strickland a good fastball. Willeen a very good fastball hitter. Out in front of the slider. Susak bobbled it and couldn't handle it on the rebound off the leather as he was concerned about the fence.
That's a tough play. Whenever the ball's hit high and in foul territory towards the catcher, the ball has backspin, so it starts coming back towards you. He has to worry about running into the fence, has to worry about where the ball is in relation to the on-deck circle, going over bats. Those are tough plays for the catcher.
Wow, they just gave him an error. I can't believe that. That's a really difficult play.
Yeah, that's a tough error.
He's got to look where the fence is in front of the dugout. That's a really tough error.
Yeah, that's far from routine. One of the best parts about being in Japan was the catchers worked on that every single day. They would always have a guy hitting a fungo and doing those plays, but the catchers, there'd be 3 or 4 catchers doing it together. They would throw hats, the ball's coming down, rub their hands over each other's faces. It was trying to make it as difficult as possible.
Willeen lines at the center field, and it's been dropped in front of Pagan. A base hit for Rosario, so a good start to the 8th inning. reminder, if you want tacos, follow @RootSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies score 7 or more in a game. Ben Paulson has done nothing but hit the baseball hard since he got called up from Albuquerque. Home run and a single in 3 at-bats this afternoon. Got the Rockies on the board back in the first inning, going out to dead central against Chris Heston. Base hit the other way. Side, ball 1-1-1.
I think if someone's wondering why is Hunter Strickland out there for 2 innings, he hadn't thrown since Thursday in AAA, and this is a situation where Bochy's going to use this guy. He's got him for as a 26th man for the minor leagues. He's going to throw him out there, eat up some innings. Not a guy that typically has gone multiple innings in the minor leagues, but when you're at the big league level and the manager asks you to do something, you do it, even if it's not something you've done before.
And typically, if you're going to bring up an extra arm in these doubleheader situations, you're not going to bring up a guy who just to get 3 outs.
No.
Left field line and out of play. Nobody out. Rosario at first. 2-2 on Ben Paulson.
Not a running situation, but one where you look for a ball in the dirt.
3-2. Not going, and it's swung on, and the foul tip was held by Susac, so that's 1 out. Second strikeout for Strickland. Nick Hundley approaching the plate. A big shout out to the DU men's lacrosse team in overtime. They blew a lead late. We were watching it, but they beat Notre Dame 11-10 in overtime. Maryland beat Hopkins in the second semifinal, so DU will play Maryland for a national championship on Monday back in Philadelphia. They've been in the Final Four the last 3 years and a chance to win it all. Bill Tierney won 6 national championships at Princeton. Pioneers lured him west, and he's made this a really good lacrosse state. Not a miss from Nick Hundley. Crowd of 32,956 for game 1. And the gates have already opened, so a lot of folks who were coming for, well, actually, I didn't realize what time it was. Game 2 is supposed to start right now, pretty much, so all those folks who are scheduled for game 2, they're getting a little bonus baseball, and hopefully we'll witness a Rockies comeback. Friedrich throwing for the Rockies in their pen. 1-2. 97 on that last fastball from Strickland.
He's got a great fastball, and he locates it well. I was curious what was going to happen with game 2 with it overlapping, and the PA announcer said everybody at game 1 is entitled or welcome to stay for game 2, but the people with the tickets for the seats in game 2 have the priority to their seats.
Works it to a 2-2 count. One out. Rosario, who singled at first. Another 97-mile-an-hour fastball, but it misses wide. 3-2. So back-to-back 3-2 counts from Hunter Strickland.
So you can see Rosario's going to take a lead. Brandon Belt is going to be playing behind Rosario. So they're allowing you to run. If you want to run, you can go ahead.
He takes off, swung on and missed, throw to second. Didn't get Rosario. Aline with his second stolen base of the year. And Bochy wants this one reviewed. It is time for a Subaru review. Whether you're on the road or at the game, everybody could use a second set of eyes. Try to take a look at this angle. Now, that angle clearly shows he made the tag. The umpire's already heard from New York. It is a strike him out, throw him out. So Susac cuts down Willeen Rosario. And we'll move to the 9th inning with the Giants ahead of the Rockies 10-6. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By Mike Shaw Subaru, always our lowest price in sales and service guaranteed. And by the Colorado Lottery, expect the unexpected. 10-6 as we go to the 9th inning. The Giants out in front, game 1 of the twin bill this afternoon and this evening at Coors Field. Let's go to center field, check in with Mark Stout. Mark?
All right, Drew, Jason Hurst, Corey Sullivan, they will join me here. We'll have the Toyota post-game show recapping game 1. Find out a little bit more about Jordan Lyles, who came out with that toe injury. And then we'll get you ready for game 2. David Hale making his Rockies debut. We'll tell you about the pitcher, the righty that'll be on the hill against Yusmeiro Petit. That is what's coming up as we go back to the guys in the booth.
All right, Mark, we appreciate it. Brandon Belt will lead things off in the 9th for the Giants. And the Rockies have made a change on the hill. That obviously is Christian Friedrich after 2 very good innings from Scott Oberg. It'll be Christian's 19th appearance. Lefties at 207, righties far more success. We'll get a couple lefties in Belt and Crawford, sandwiched by the right-handed hitting Hunter Pence in your picture right there. The Giants this year, when scoring 5 or more runs in a game, are 13-2. They're having a gorgeous May. They're 15-5. You know, the Rockies, if they want to look at what the Giants have done, if they need further evidence that it's a long season and you can make turnarounds, the Giants at 1.6 games under 500 in the opening couple of weeks of the season. And they came into this ball game 6 games above 500. Billy, I think you as a player, the guys understand it is a marathon. They clearly understand also they have to play a whole heck of a lot better in all facets to start winning on a regular basis. But because you're buried beneath 500, it's still the 3rd week of May. It does not have to be the story of your season.
No, it doesn't. And it comes down to playing good baseball, and baseball that you've played before. No one's asking you to do something you haven't done before. And you're right, this game is a marathon. I can remember as a player, you go through a month or 2 dry spell to start off the season, and you're hitting 200, if not lower. And before you know it, June rolls along and you start to get hot. July comes in, you have a great month, and you can end up with a great season. We saw it with Tulowitzki that month of September years ago. We saw it with Matt Holliday years ago. It is a long season. And just keeping your head above water is what you're trying to do. Just making sure you stay afloat. Stay positive, encourage your teammates, make sure the staff is encouraging each player.
Another 1-2 to Belt. Swung on and missed. Friedrich strikes out Brandon Belt.
Well, Christian Friedrich likes to say when he gets a strikeout, he likes to punch your ticket. Right here, he punches Brandon Belt's ticket. Looks like his curveball, it stays up in the zone, but Brandon Belt's not able to make contact with it. That's a ticket punched.
Hunter Pence, kind of a typical Hunter Pence day. 2 hits and 4 at bats. He scored 2. He's driven in 2. This guy comes up to the plate with bad intentions.
Yes, he does.
They say when he was at Texas Arlington, I was telling you about how he struggled on defense and wasn't a pretty outfielder, and he's still unorthodox. As unorthodox as he was in the cage, he would be in there for hours on his own, working on his swing. Obviously paid off. He's become one of the more productive offensive players in the game and one of the biggest energy guys in the game. 2 outs. This afternoon's Game Changer is brought to you by T-Mobile. Brandon Crawford has had a big ball game. This is a 2-run triple for Crawford back in the 5th inning. All 10 runs for the Giants once again have been scored with 2 outs. Incredible. 1-0 on Crawford. This ball's hit pretty well to center, but moving over and making the catch is Charlie Blackmon. So Friedrich works a 1-2-3 9th inning. And the Rockies with work to do in the bottom half of inning number 9. It's 10-6 Giants. Mayhew's going to lead it off And for the Giants, they call on Mr. Slider, Sergio Romo. Romo threw a third of an inning last night. It'll be his 21st appearance. He's held righties to a 111 average. Lefty's a different story.
Well, he's going for his first save of the 2015 season. And for Sergio, it's making sure that he gets that first batter out. This year, he has gotten majority of the first batters out, and that's what changes the entire inning for him.
Yep, not a save situation, though, because they're up 4. So LeMahieu, and he'll be followed currently by Daniel Descalso, who's in the on-deck circle. There's a slider for strike 1. Rockies 6 runs, 9 hits. They've hit 3 home runs in the ball game. Paulson, Hundley, solo shots, 2-run home run from Charlie Blackmon. Six of the 9 hits for the Rockies have come from the 6th through 9th spots in the order. A show-me fastball at 89.
Well, the slider that he has is a wipeout slider. When you talk about wipeout, it means it just, you see it and then it's gone. It is off the plate. He throws 3 different types. He throws a nice slow one that you think you can hit, but you can't. He throws a harder one that you think you can hit, but you can't. And then he hits one that you know you can't hit.
Well, he wants a rare fastball. He throws in the zone, and he gets the strikeout of LeMahieu. So with 1 out, Daniel Descalso will come up. With every challenge call, we've had a couple today. The Subaru Eyesight Review will determine the outcome. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. Daniel started out slowly in a Rockies uniform offensively, and I know 196 isn't pretty, but he's righted the ship over the last week or so, beginning with his work in Los Angeles.
Well, for position players, you get more at bats, you feel comfortable at the plate. It's hard when you're getting, he's 1 for 13 right now with pinch hits, and it's hard to get in the groove. It's hard to feel comfortable at the plate. His last 6 games, he's gone 7 for 16 with the homer and the 6 RBI. So getting those extra at bats makes a huge difference for your role players.
One ball, 1 strike. Descalso went around. There'll be about 40 minutes between ball games. We will have a post-game / pre-game for the nightcap. And Descalso pops it up left side. Joaquin Arias, 2 outs. Charlie Blackmon with 2 outs, a 2-run home run for Charlie in the 5th, 1 for 4. Descalso just hit. You figure he's a candidate to get a start in the 2nd game. Rockies probably will not start Tulowitzki in the 2nd game.
Yeah, probably not. That's a good guess. I'm going to guess Brandon Barnes will probably get an opportunity to play too. Yeah, Romo's throwing a lot more fastballs tonight than we're accustomed to seeing. Part of that has to do with the score. You have a 4-run lead. You're not having to go to your strikeout pitches. You're trying to force the issue. You're trying to force contact.
slider, and this hit a long way to right, but it's going to make a right turn.
I think you've heard me talk about this before. The scoreboard dictates everything from what the score is to the count. You can, because we guess. Hitters are guess hitters, so you can start playing percentages knowing if a guy's going to come after you or not. The guys will always go to their best stuff as well.
1-2, and that's knocked into left field for a base hit. The Blackman with his second hit. That'll bring up Arenado. Very few guys, unless their last name were Gwynn or Boggs or Carew, never hit a rough patch. Nolan was hitting well over 300.
Rough patch.
7 home runs. He's hit a little bit of a rough patch. 3 for his last 28 at the plate. Just bounced foul.
And this goes back to what I was talking about. Where does your confidence come from? Does it come from just being a confident player, or does it come from the results? And at times, even if you have all the confidence in the world and you've had multiple years of hitting the ball and you know you're a good player, you run into these patches where the game's not easy and you want the ball to find a hole. You want to get that base hit just to get you going again, to allow you to remember that you are a good player.
Good swing.
You can see the frustration on Nolan, wanting to rip the bat. He's hitting his shoe.
I mean, it sounds silly because you guys live it every single day, but you know, you have to remember you're the same guy that went 4 for 5
Yep.
with, you know, 2 doubles and a bomb 4 days earlier.
Yes.
Nobody jumped into your body that day and did that. You did that.
I did that.
Two strikes on Nolan. He's fouled off. There has been a scoring change. The error that was given to Susac on the foul pop has been taken away, and that is the right way to score it.
That's good. I mean, that's not a routine play. That's a difficult play, and yeah, I don't see why that would have been an error to begin with.
Susac catching the first game. Buster Posey, one would assume, will be behind the plate in game 2. Oh, 2. 1-2. And again, the pitching matchup. The Giants will send Yusmeiro Petit to the hill for Bruce Bochy. And the Rockies will see David Hale, the former Brave, make his Colorado debut. This gets away from Susac, and that will allow Charlie to move up.
Here's Romo trying to put Nolan away with the slider down in the zone. You can see it spinning. Susac goes to try to backhand that. Hops on the inside. It's a pass ball. Was it a wild pitch?
Once it hit the dirt, they called it a wild pitch, but you know, you're right. You got to. Susac would tell you after the game, I can't reach that with the backhand. I got to drop and block it.
Yeah, you got away with an error earlier. That wasn't called one, and
this ball's ripped through the left side, a base hit. Blackman around third. He'll score. And something, if nothing else, Nolan can carry into game 2. It's a good AB. And Nolan also is going to take care of some hungry folks tomorrow because of that base hit. The Rockies hit the magic number of 7. Make sure you go to your participating Taco Bell locations tomorrow between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special Live Mott's at Taco Bell. Well, once again, Bruce Bochy, seen him do this in the past. He's going to bring in Casilla with Cargo at the plate. It's a 3-run game. The Rockies with 2 outs, down 10-7. People have too much caffeine.
That was me.
That was you earlier.
Yep.
Rockies down by 3. Nolan Arenado a single to drive in Charlie Blackmon a moment ago. Now Cargo will come up 0 for 2 and a pair of walks, and he'll face Santiago Casilla, who had to be summoned late last night. The Giants began the 9th inning with a 7-run lead, and the Rockies whittled away after an hour and 44-minute rain delay. Casilla had to come in. He eventually got the save.
Cargo 1 for 5 in his career against Casilla. Talking about just taking these quality at bats. Nolan with the big at bat. Get that RBI, get him going. This is another one he can get Cargo going and hopefully get Tulo up to get them all going. I like payback. 2-out RBIs for the Giants, 10 tonight. It's time for the Rockies to strike back.
Here's the 1-1. It's inside. 92.
See how tough Casilla is against everybody. 18 innings pitched, the 17 strikeouts, only 7 walks. He's been really tough on the right-handed batters.
2-2. Pulled through the hole, a base hit for Cargo. So now the tying run comes up as Pence fumble with the baseball. Arenado's going to move up another 90 feet. That'll be an error on Pence, but most importantly, Troy comes up representing the tying run.
Well, Cargo fouled out the previous pitch, took a healthy cut. Casilla goes for the off-speed pitch, and Cargo is right on it, gets on top of the baseball. Look, his head isn't moving as much as it was earlier in the year. He's driving through the baseball. He is slowly starting to come back to form. Here's Nolan, not thinking that Hunter was going to bobble it. As soon as he does, he takes that extra base.
Troy drives it towards left center field. This will touch down. Cargo will go first to third. It's 10-8. And here comes the baby boom. Well, I know it has been a difficult stretch to say the least, but the last couple of nights, you can't say the Rockies have not made it interesting late.
Brandon Barnes in the pinch run for Tulowitzki. But it comes down to Tulo jumping on that first pitch fastball he sees. Puts a good swing on it. Second base hit for the day for Tulowitzki. You can see he's starting to drive through that baseball. Hitting the ball up the middle. He's been pulling a lot of balls this year. Driving it up to center field for that RBI single. Well, Rosario does have a home run off Garcia. He is 2 for 13 though.
So Willeen Rosario, 1 for 4, who's been swinging the bat as well as anybody for the Rockies at the plate. He takes strike 1 on the outer edge. There's Barnes. He is the tying run. Outfield exceptionally deep. And this is bounced to third. Fair ball, long throw. And did he stay on the bag? He did. And that is the end of it. And the Giants hang on. They win it 10-8. Dana DeMuse waiting to see if Walt wants to challenge. Let's see if he comes off the bag.
Looks like he held on.
And he stayed on the bag. So the final score 10-8. The Giants have won the first 2 of this 4-game set, and they win game 1 of the doubleheader. The Giants have now won 8 consecutive games. Heston the victor. Lyles takes the loss. Garcia with his 12th save in 14 attempts. The last time the Giants